Jimmy.
This is a drink tea game show. This is a post-game show where I'm just going to sit here and sip on some tea. This is how I feel. I feel sick. Memorial Day weekend, going into the weekend strong, start the summer off. I'm now sick.
I'm gonna be wondering what happened. I'm gonna be wondering what happened here, all the way for 48, all the way to Game 7.
Jimmy Butler came to play. The one thing I'll say about the show that we had, the last show we had, we ended it basically saying the Heat have pride. They're not just going to roll over and die.
Right.
And exactly what we saw tonight was that on display. Pride. Jimmy Butler was a grown man out there amongst boys tonight. Kyle Lowry literally came back from the dead. I think we had a eulogy for Kyle Lowry after Game 5, and he actually was like, guys, I'm literally right here. I'm alive. I'm actually going to hit a bunch of threes tonight. Max Strus decided to hit shots. Tucker was all over the place. So the Heat got their, like, Jimmy Butler finally got the help that he's been looking for, in this game. And that was the difference. The Celtics, a little bit too little too late. It was Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown for the majority of the game. Derrick White got hot. Shout out Derrick White. Was going to be the Derrick White game until they unraveled in the last few minutes of the fourth quarter there. So it's no longer the Derrick White game. It's just the choke game from the Celtics. Yeah. Now they got to go back to Miami. This is deja vu from like 2012. You can't feel good about this. You just can't.
Yeah.
Don't spin this.
This one's hard to spin in a lot of ways. Like we can talk about the officiating, which I honestly can't remember a worse officiated game, but both ways. It felt like the Celtics got the worst whistle for most of the night.
It was too much.
But it was
way too much.
A horribly officiated game. And that really messes with a lot of things. But like, I guess you work, backwards here.
It's not going to be an official officiating.
Yeah. It's not going to be an officiating show. You just got to put it out there.
But we have to put it out there. We have to acknowledge it. I'm sure the chat's already said it 1,000 times. The officials sucked tonight. It's not really why they lost. It's not why they lost, but it certainly didn't help.
But again, it was kind of a flat, low energy, poor execution closeout game at home where you really did feel like, we know Miami had fight, but you really felt like this was one where you could step on their throats. However,
right.
We go through this drill again. Okay, we came out a little flat. Then we talked at halftime, decided how much we wanted. Then we came out in the second. Didn't happen. They came out flat again in the third. In Miami, that's where they, kind of built up a lead. Celtics fight back 7 after 3. Again, you're like still within striking distance. All they need to do is put together a little run. And they do. And they just unraveled again. And everything you don't like to see, you saw. This was a game more. The turnovers in this game were just literally passing it to the Heat. And they were doing it a ton. But Miami had a ton of turnovers too. I will credit some of those were actual steals, but they were both at 17 turnovers. Yeah. But the late game execution, again, 99-99. Friggin' Jalen has 2 free throws, aims them both, bricks them both. 9-2 Miami run off of that ball game. But almost every single thing after that was bad. Another turnover by Tatum. Just even at the end there, when Brown took that charge that was reviewable, I guess. That was the wrong play there. That was the wrong play.
I don't know why.
You needed to pull up for it, but you didn't. You needed to pull up for a transition 3 there. You really did, and that was the best opportunity. And he just charges right into people again. Offensive foul, ball game. Everything about the late game execution was a total disaster, and it just all of that stuff just makes you like, what are we doing this for? The season's great, the turnaround's great. If they choke this away because they let their demons get the best of them, and all of the stuff that had ailed them earlier in the season that pops up from time to time, and they just choke this away through poor effort and poor execution, that's on them. And yes, I agree with all of everything you said, Jimmy. The fight, Lowry from the dead, Strus from the dead. Jimmy Butler has a phenomenal game. Despite all of that, this game is a game the Celtics win if they want to, if they just choose to win. And they chose not to. They chose the difficult path. And again, mind-boggling stuff throughout, and we'll get into like the nitpicky stuff. But Sherrod's at the Garden, Jimmy's at the Garden, Bobby is at the Garden.
Not at the Garden. I'm right here.
I'm sorry, Sherrod, Josue, and Bobby. Bobby, for the third straight game, is going to say that the series is over in favor of a different team.
Bobby, live look at Bob right now. He's trying to untangle himself. He's pretzeled to unknown lengths right now. But I'm worried. I'm worried about this kid.
What's so frustrating about this game, though, Jimmy, is like it was the opposite of what you had, where like Tatum and Brown disappoint the hell out of you, and then they turn it on, and you're like, okay, there we go. They were awesome. Tatum was awesome. Tatum was locked in awesome. Not just on offense. Tatum looked dialed in early. So it wasn't one of those Tatum games, and Brown looked dialed in early. And then what happened?
They were the only ones, though.
They were the only ones, and Rob had his moments, and then Derrick White had his really good third quarter.
I mean in the beginning of the game, they were the only ones. Everyone's like, Marcus, somebody, Al Horford, somebody make a shot, do something, nothing. And then the fourth quarter comes around, Derrick White gets hot. Yeah, we already kind of
a bottom five Al Horford game maybe ever in a Celtics uniform. Just awful, not into it at all, just kind of all over the place. Turnovers, bad fouls. A really, truly atrocious Marcus Smart game. A really, really, really bad Marcus game. But then in the second half, and I know Miami's keying their defense on them, Brown and Tatum didn't shoot. 7 field goal attempts combined from your two stars in the second half. How did that happen? Those guys had 12 and 13 field goals respectively. What's so funny, Jimmy?
Nothing. Just a lot of. I'm just smiling's my favorite. So sometimes you just see me smiling. But John, I want to say this too.
It's over again. It's over.
You mentioned Rob. Ahead. You mentioned Rob briefly. What was your favorite Rob highlight from the fourth quarter?
Him sitting at the scorer's table ready to come in, and then Al Horford hitting his first shot of the game, and then Ime forgetting that he was going to put Rob back in the game. Yeah, that was my favorite. What's up with
that? Ime's not gonna skate free here either, I don't think, because that fourth quarter, some of that has to do with him. Rob was all over the place in the third quarter, all over the place, and then he goes from that to 0. And again, we just talked about how it was a horrible Al Horford game. I get it, he hit a shot, but it's not like, oh, Al Horford's back. Al Horford's hit a shot. He should stay in the game the rest of the game, and let's bench our athletic freak of nature who's all over the court, right, like above everybody, could put a body on Butler at the rim, could do all these things.
What happened?
Leave him on the sidelines.
What happened when Rob returned? What happened when Rob returned to the series? And Butler didn't want it. Butler couldn't get his good paint touches anymore.
Bam went into hiding.
Bam went into hiding again tonight, by the way. But again, I'm not going to get into that.
Fine, but why go? Like, it doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense to me. And there's no reasoning that I'm going to say, okay, that makes sense. No, Rob Williams needs to be in that game in the fourth quarter. Sorry, he needs to be in the game in the fourth quarter, and that's just one of my issues. The other issue,
it was insane. He was playing so well. It was insane. And he had him at the scorer's table. He's like, let's roll. And I get it, because it was after the Horford 3, then Dwight hit a 3, and they took a 3-point lead. It's like, let's roll with this off the Miami timeout. Okay, fine. A minute or two later, you should remember that you wanted to put Rob in for a reason and probably put him in, and he didn't. And I was floored by that.
It would have made more sense if he played the entire fourth quarter than to not play it at all. Like, I can't figure it out. So, sorry, everyone is asking the same questions. I don't have the answers.
Honestly, this was a game where I would have put Marcus's ass on the bench, let Derrick White roll through the fourth, and played both bigs. And that's what you would have done, and deter some paint touches there. He was getting killed. And they were hunting switches too, but Marcus got cooked by Jimmy. Derrick White, as well as he did. Jimmy was looking to shoot over him. He's physical. He's big. It's a hard matchup for him. Yeah. And no adjustments from Ime either. No doubling, didn't move it. And you know what? Miami hitting all the threes made it so they couldn't really double Butler there, because they were definitely shell-shocked to leave open shooters. So, I mean, I get it, but Butler was freaking killing you. You had to start trying to do something there. You had to make him a little more uncomfortable. Just make it harder for him to get to his spots, and they didn't do that at all.
And you mentioned how Tatum and Brown had great first halves, or great. They were cooking early. It took them so long, again, in the fourth quarter to do anything offensively, to get going. I mean, even shot attempts didn't happen. So it's like, and I understand that it was Derrick White who got hot and, feed the hot hand. I get it. But if you're a first team All NBA and you don't even take shots in the first 7 minutes of the fourth quarter, whatever it was, you got to be aggressive. You were down to start that quarter. You needed to get some momentum going. You need to go on a run. And to their credit, they did get to that point. It wasn't because of Tatum and Brown at that point, but the team still got there. Brown had his chance to go to the line, hit the free throws, man. Hit the free throws. Misses them both on the ensuing possession. What does Jimmy Butler do? Takes the ball, drives to the hoop, gets fouled, and one, hits the free throw. 5-point swing, just like that. And then they go back, and the Heat go back down again, and they do it again. It felt like the wind was kind of taken out of the sails.
Nick, I know you're in the chat. Look at Bobby's text, please. Thank you. I know you're in there. Anyway, yes, Jimmy. Yes.
I want to be on the text. I didn't get that text. But anyways, yeah, that's another issue I had with the fourth quarter there. And again, officiating was tough. I thought Ime kind of maybe was caught watching a little bit. I don't know.
And credit to Miami. Miami did everything they needed to do to win. It still should have come up short. Still should have come up short.
Right.
That's the whole point. The reason everybody thinks the Celtics, and it's not a homer take. Draymond Green, Vegas, everybody. The reason everyone's certain is because they think that there's a big talent deficit between the two teams. Big enough where Boston should be able to win it. And again, even playing poorly and even having, all of these self-inflicted wounds and enduring a big Jimmy Butler game and Miami shooting 45%, 43% from three, and all of those things going in your favor, this is still a game Boston can win if it just chooses to, if you just play smarter basketball. And they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. And it would have been a tough one to win, but it was a totally winnable game.
It would have been tough. I don't think anybody thought Jimmy Butler had this left in him this season, just based on the last couple of games and the injuries and everything kind of piling up. I don't think anyone saw him going for 45 points. Not to say he's not capable of doing it. We know he is. It's the fourth time he's gone for over 40. I just didn't think he had it left this season. So, you got to tip your cap to him. He put the team in his back. He willed them to victory. I watched his walk-off interview, and he said that he got a call from Dwyane Wade today, and D Wade basically told him, give him some, D Wade gave him some love and give him some confidence. And so Celtics fans have another reason to hate D Wade if you didn't have enough already. He's still contributing to some.
We did give him a plaque though a couple years ago. That was,
what's that?
We gave him a plaque at the Garden.
Oh God, gag me.
That was gross.
That was disgusting. But Butler was hitting crazy shots. That one he hit right before the shot clock in the fourth quarter, that was the dagger right there, and that wasn't anything but an amazing shot. They couldn't have played any better defense. So I'm not upset about that. I'm just upset about the fact that it got to that point and that we're in that situation, because the Celtics came in this game 8.5-point favorites for a reason. They're the better team. They played like the Heat played better. I don't want to say the Celtics played like crap, because they didn't from start to finish, but the Heat just played unbelievable. Lowry was hitting massive three-pointers. Strus finally hit a shot, and then he hit another one. So they were getting the help. Celtics didn't execute down the stretch. It was kind of reminiscent of some, first half of the year games where they kind of lost sight of things. The leaders, their guys at the top just didn't come through in the end. You already mentioned Jaylen Brown getting the ball in transition at the end of the game and trying to throw down like a thunderous dunk to go down, 4? Or 2, whatever. Dude, read the room, figure it out. You have situational basketball here, So it's just little things like that. They didn't lose from one specific player. It was a number of things in that fourth quarter.
But again, I get it. For as good as they were, it's still the not getting those guys the touches in the second half. Yes, Miami's packing the paint. They're doubling those guys. They're really trying to force the ball in other people's hands, kind of like a Milwaukee sort of approach. Pack the paint, give it to the other guys, try to get more shots. And again, to his credit, Derrick White banged down a couple of threes. Marcus was terrible all friggin' game, but 7 turnovers from Jason Tatum, friggin' 4 from Jaylen Brown. Again, you just no, can't do it. No. Just can't do it. Can't have it.
Can't and won't.
It's friggin' brutal. If you have 4 turnovers, 6 for Jalen fouls out, I mean, and some of those fouls were friggin' dumb, really dumb. They were all taking dumb fouls. Horford took dumb
Oh
fouls.
my God, Derrick White's dumb foul
Derrick
too at the
White's
end.
right
What
there.
the hell is that?
Just
You
dumb,
can't even
dumb,
blame the
dumb.
refs.
All
Don't-
of that. And we didn't even mention 2 fouls 50, 60 feet away from the basket in that stretch after those Jalen missed free throws. What are you doing, guys? The loose ball foul at one end of the court and the Derrick White swipe. Dumb. This is just dumb basketball. It's dumb. You can see some of this stuff happening like a light years before it happens. And you're like, don't. And they do it.
Don't reach.
Yeah,
If
don't.
Everything.
Don't go to the basket. There's people there. It's going to be a charge. It's going to be a charge.
Right.
Boom.
Right. I can't believe this is going to. This is pathetic, really. I mean, and we're not even. Let's just. I'm not jumping ahead, but just how disappointing this loss is. It's on a number of levels, because let's say you are lucky enough to advance, and you do go to a game 7. I mean, and you do advance and you make the NBA Finals.
If they do, I'm rooting against them because I'm so mad.
Well, that's the thing is like
I'm just kidding. It's just right.
You're playing a Warriors team that's been hanging out for a week. You're coming off a grueling 7-game series. I'm sure Game 7 won't be any different, and you're gonna go right into the NBA Finals where the Warriors have just been chilling, feet up, by the way, and at home. It's like you're walking into a lion's den. You have no time to recover. So this was just such a disappointing. I've talked about it many, many times this year, this postseason. When you get a gift, take the gift. Celtics got a gift. They had a chance to close out the Heat at home. They're banged up. Tyler Hero didn't play. Is he going to come back for Game 7? Are the Heat going to get some more ammunition now on top of it all? So you had a gift, and you looked it in the mouth. You looked the gift horse in the mouth, as they say. You gave
well executed. Yep. Well executed expression there, Jimmy.
You.
Yep. You nailed it.
You looked the gift right in the mouth.
You opened up that mouth and you looked at it.
You just looked at the gift.
You looked right at the gift. And said, I'm going to put this in my mouth.
You ate the gift. Don't eat the gift. It's not edible. Damn it.
I just
ate the boat. What'd you say?
I had something. So
where is the rest of our crew? Are they even going to do the show?
So this is what it comes down to. When we're all feeling it now after the loss, and we're not piling on. It's frustrating and it's disappointing. So again, I want to say this now because we all feel the same way after a loss. When they win, but they win doing some of the stuff that they did tonight when they lost, and we bring it up and everyone says, just be positive. They won. What's the problem? This is the problem. This is the problem. Then you do it and you lose. So is it a concern? Yes. Are turnovers a concern? Yes. Yep. This bad, dumb situational basketball, whatever, dude, they won. No problem. You just pissed away Game 6 and possibly the series where you have to go into hostile territory to win. You can't do it. And forget about, as you mentioned, Golden State. You go to Golden State with that, forget about it. Like it doesn't work. So you've got again, this was a weird one because just a mixed bag from everybody, depending on what point in the game it happened. The dependable guys kind of let you down tonight. The Rocks, you've had those games where it's going sideways and then Al or Marcus will kind of settle it. Those guys were bad tonight. So it just kind of went sideways on you. And then Jalen and Tatum just disappeared. And again, I'm going to say it's as much a failure on coaching or as it is on anything else, but it just the whole thing got away from them. Every single thing. And then bad execution and just bad. So again, why do we freak out? This is why we freak out. This you just gave away Game 6.
This is why, yeah, right.
A shot to the finals and a chance to rest a little bit too. All of it. I mean, it's all bad. That's the biggest
thing right there. You would have been home for a few days here before you go out west. It's not like you're going down the street if you make it to the NBA Finals. You're going back and forth across the country here. So they didn't do themselves any favors. They really, really put themselves in a tough spot. They've got to dig deep. They've been in elimination games before, and they've won. So
I actually think they're going to win Game 7, but I'm still pissed off about Game 6. And now again, right? I mean, I still think they're going to win.
I'm not going to pick against them now. I've been very consistent in not doing that.
I still think they win.
They are the better team. They're a more talented team, I should say, but they have to play as a team and they have to show up. The Heat have done that on numerous occasions. Go back to the bubble. Celtics, everyone said, was the more talented team. And what happened? They didn't play as a team. The Heat did. Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam, all those same faces that you're seeing now. Those same guys did it then, and they did it tonight. And now they're going to go home with some momentum with the fans. And I don't want to overvalue home court because, I mean, the Celtics just won in Miami and Miami just won in Boston. So, I mean, it's not like, oh, you can't win on the road. But it's another thing that's not ideal. I think ideally you'd want to be playing with your home fans around you and, near your house and all that stuff, just more comfortable. But they don't have that luxury. They're going to South Beach. Maybe Bobby and Josue are going. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if they got the okay. We'll get one more day of those two out there. But
what's it take to play a clean game?
Is this a riddle?
For real? No, I mean, what is it here? Like, what is it?
You're not going to play a clean. These guys don't play. They don't play clean games.
But they did. This is what kills me. The Celtics pitched for the back half of the season. The Celtics pitched like 25 perfect games, start to finish. Absolute, just annihilation. Top
regular
to bottom.
Season, John. Regular season.
I know. And we talked about it then, Jimmy. I thought they had, and we were honest about it then. We did think they had the benefit of a favorable schedule, both in terms of opponents, when they played opponents, who those opponents had. Each time we're like, wow, but they still won each game by like 100 points. But then they stacked up good wins too. And it doesn't matter entirely that, you play the schedule you have. They were playing perfect games. The defense never let up. The other teams were suffocated. It looked like there were 6-7 Celtics on the court at all times. They were moving the ball on offense, high assist numbers throughout. It just looked different. It just looked like they had taken on a new identity. It's just, this series has been really frustrating watching. And again, I know teams like Milwaukee and Miami bring out bad in you, but so much of this self-inflicted. You're going to go back and you're watch this game and you say, how many of these turnovers did they literally just carelessly throw into a danger zone or to somebody who was standing, just literally just a stationary Heat player? So many of them. Yeah. How many times did they take bad shots? How many times did they senselessly just dribble at the top of the key 35 feet away from the basket without getting into any actions? And then all of a sudden just start to frantically try to get moving with like 8 seconds left on the clock. So many times they just did stuff like that. So I don't get it.
Marcus Smart 4 for 15 tonight, 1 for 9 from 3. I mean, he fell into some bad habits tonight. This was not a Marcus that we've seen a lot recently, but it looked like some of the threes he was taking, it was like bad Marcus shot. Like that. That's not the Marcus that has gotten the Celtics to this point in the season. So that was interesting. I don't know if it's the ankle affecting him. I'm sure it is to some extent, but that was a tough game for him.
He actually looked, from a mobility standpoint, good today.
Yeah, he didn't look like he was like favoring anything, but I'm just wondering if it's. I'm trying to figure out why he kind of fell back into this.
No, just a lot of threes that didn't need to be taken. These weren't late in the clock, open, swung to you threes. They were just, I'm going to take the three because I can threes. That's that's old Marcus stuff that I know we try. We know that is not the best version of Marcus.
I mean. And again, he's probably looking to, it was at a point where the Celtics did need some help from somebody aside from.
How dare he blow the Derrick White game? I don't get it.
I know. Derrick White actually did the thing that a lot of Derrick White fans say he doesn't need to do, but he did that thing tonight, which
he plays worse when he scores.
I was going through my notes being like, wait a second. I was told he wasn't supposed to score. He didn't need to score. And all of a sudden he goes off. And you know what happens when he does? They get back into the game. They take the lead. So that's when we were critical of Derrick White It wasn't because we don't know he does other things. It's because they were losing games because he wasn't doing the thing of scoring. And if he was, maybe they win that game. So this was an example of that tonight. They come back behind him, showing that he is capable of having these offensive performances if the shots are falling. There's no reason to make excuses for him when they're not. When they're not falling, it's because he's not playing well offensively. So
yeah,
simple as that. I don't want to say not playing well, like it's that simple, but that's a big part of your offense. So he was great tonight. He was unbelievable. He was everything you'd want in a guard out there. Defensively as well. He had a nice couple of steals. Everyone was ready for the Derrick White sidebar. I'm sure you'll still see a couple, but I think Bobby's actually working on something too.
Bobby's got some Derrick White action going.
Bobby's some Derrick White. He needed the win. Man, if the Celtics pulled it off tonight, that Derrick White would have been a feature story. Yeah. But speaking of those guys, where the F are they? I wonder if they're going to show their faces tonight.
I'm wrapping the show in like 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Just too mad.
Too angry. They ruined my Memorial Day weekend. Congratulations, guys.
Jimmy's gonna miss Game 6. You bastards.
7. Yeah.
7.
I don't think I'm gonna be here for Game 7, unfortunately. So hopefully it's not the last game of the season. I got a wedding weekend, unfortunately.
You bastards.
Actually, unfortunately, I'm pretty pumped about it. Actually, it's gonna be a blast. But I was hoping the Celtics would take care of business tonight so that I wouldn't have to miss the show. But the show goes on.
I don't know where else to go here. I know people are there's a lot of Marcus hate here, and I get it. This was a bad Marcus game. Yeah, a lot of Marcus hate. Right now.
What specifically? Just like the shot selection?
Trade him.
Oh God.
This is where we are with this team. This is what's funny is people are really just teetering on a razor's edge because
I mean, not to cut you off, John, but the show is going to go one of two ways. Game 7 show is going to go one of two ways, and there's not going to be a middle ground. It's going to be very polar. If they win, great. If they lose, blow the whole thing up.
I have right now in the waiting room a very nervous Bobby Manning who knows the chat is about to hand it to him.
He's sweating. I can see the
bring
sweat
Bobby in here.
beating down his face.
Bobby, is it over?
Not, but still one more chance.
Is it over in the other direction? What people actually want to see you do is call it for the Heat right now.
No, I still feel good about the Celtics despite the slip up here. Again, you had a big second half charge, go ahead stretch there, good shooting, and just the turnovers. If Game 5 didn't get it in their heads, how damaging those were, and just how that's the only difference in the series right now, tonight will, because they potentially lost themselves a chance to go to the NBA Finals, and it was all turnovers again. I don't know what Ime can say. Ime's voice was gone in the press conference, so I'd imagine he was lighting someone up. I don't know if it was the refs. I don't know if it was the locker room, but his voice was gone because I don't know how many more times he can say, take care of the ball. And it goes back to what I sent yesterday, Jimmy. Brown, Jalen did not seem to really take acceptance for what he did early in that Game 5. He said everybody's doing it. It's not just me. And didn't feel like anyone else really took it on their shoulders. And Al Horford had a few bad ones in this game. It does spread around, but your ball handlers, your main guys set the tone there. And Brown was sloppy again. Tatum couldn't even take a shot in the fourth quarter there. Couldn't control the ball, and then had the decisive one against Tucker there after Butler's 3-point play. So,
Bobby, what in your mind, what if anything the Heat do differently? I know they packed the paint and they obviously put more focus on. I'm on Tatum and Brown that limited those two guys to only 7 field goals in the second half. And we're going to bring Sherrod on this one too.
I think they got back to a lot of the aggressive switching we saw early in the series. You definitely saw Tucker being aggressive on Tatum there. He did a sensational job down the stretch, but I think it was all self-inflicted mostly. It was just guys not getting the ball, guys not holding on to the ball. And to me, it was just the Celtics trying to shoot their way out of it too. And they hit some down the stretch. They missed others. I thought Marcus Smart was jacking way too many threes. So again, blame goes around. But like I was just saying to Jimmy John, you wish some more individuals were taking accountability. And I know Derrick White just went to the podium. I'm sure we'll hear from Brown and Tatum tonight, or at least one of them. But I sent you guys the presser Brown gave after Game 5, just not taking, or I don't know what you want to say, taking accountability for the turnovers.
Yeah.
And they were almost devastating in that game. And if you don't get it now, then they're not going to go to the finals.
Jalen, why did you turn the ball over so much? I didn't turn the ball over. We all turned the ball over. Plus, they fouled me.
That was shocking. And it was easy to gloss over because they won. But imagine if they lost that game and he said that.
Yeah. Sherrod
can easily go back to it now.
Sherrod, what happened?
Oh, well, first, can you guys hear me okay?
We got you.
Okay. Where the hell do we start with this? Okay, let's just start from the very beginning. Miami came in here to win. They didn't care how they did it. They were going to do it. They played harder. They played smarter. They played longer. Whenever the Celtics showed any signs of a surge, Miami said, get back. We're not, our season is not ending tonight. And the Celtics never played with a sense of urgency. They seemed like they were kind of cool breezing it this entire game, as if somehow they were going to magically will their way to victory. And even as media played, they had this game. This was theirs for the stealing.
Right.
I'm convinced, and you're never going to convince me otherwise, that if Jaylen Brown makes those 2 free throws when it's tied up at 99, the Celtics win this game. Because from there, Miami scored the next 6 straight, and that was it. It was ball game. When you put yourself in a hole where you play like crap for 3 quarters, and you're still right there on the cusp of winning, and then you have a moment to, within the last couple of minutes, to get over that hump, essentially, and put the pressure on them to score. When they listen, we can sit up here and talk about all the Celtics gave this away, but give the Miami credit. They came here to win. They came here to fight. They came to fight for their season, and give them all the credit because they deserve it. The Celtics just did not compete the way you should compete when you have a golden opportunity like this.
Yeah. And
that's the disappointing part to me.
Butler surpassing LeBron, too. Just a ridiculous performance.
But he had a good performance.
The points total from game six.
So
Butler's better than LeBron.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Prisoner of the moment, folks.
So Sherrod, we're in agreement here. I think that was the thing. Is we tip of the hat to Miami, obviously tip of the hat to Butler. And Josue, when you square up and you're ready to go, give me a thumbs up. We're gonna bring Josue in as well. You don't look great right now. There we go. Let's aim that camera.
He looks woozy.
There it is.
There's too many lights out here.
You're swimming in it. We absolutely gave credit. I think it was real.
Second win.
Jimmy Butler was great. Kyle Lowry, as Jimmy said, came back from the dead. Max Strus revenge game. There was definitely some elements here. You absolutely give Miami credit, but the Celtics still. I mean, how many times have we said it? 5-6 good minutes, probably all you need. Again, they just put their head down and played clean basketball down the stretch there, and they win. That's it. That's all you needed. Go ahead, Jimmy.
I just wanted to ask a question to you 3 guys that just joined us. Why the F didn't Rob Williams see the court for a single damn second in the fourth quarter? Somebody explain.
He was at the scorer's table, and then he may put him back in bubble wrap.
Somebody explain. Somebody make it make sense.
Al made a 3, and Rob went back to the bench and didn't come out off the timeout.
I can't explain it. I can't. I mean, I thought when they were really kind of making this thing competitive, Rob was a big part of that. His activity around the basket, particularly on the offensive end. I thought, and I can't explain it. I don't get it. I didn't understand it. But there's so much about this game that just didn't make any damn sense. I mean, like Tatum had one of his most efficient shooting games ever. And yet you never felt that he put his imprint on this game. This was like one of the weirdest 30-point games he may have ever had as a Celtic. It didn't feel like a 30-point game. It felt more like a 15, 20, 25.
And it should have probably been a 50-point game with how much he was feeling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I go ahead, Josue.
no, I was going to say, well, in that fourth quarter, if he's a little more assertive, a little more aggressive, maybe he gets there, or maybe he gets somewhere near that level. But I just thought he had to find a way to either get to the basket or just get some shots up. I mean, look, their best players going off, having the best game of his postseason, and I just didn't see that aggression. I didn't see that. No, I'm gonna snatch this away from you guys. You know, the Celtics came back. They wiped out the big lead. The crowd's into it, you know, and yeah, I thought this team could have used a little raw in the end, especially when he got those 2 lobs. I felt like I got him going a bit, kind of woke him up. But I still think it comes down to seeing Tatum be more assertive. Honestly,
Who are we putting that on?
Tatum.
Tatum and Brown had 7 combined field goals in the second half. We putting it on the guys or Ime?
I'm putting it on Tatum. Listen, when you get to when you get to this point in the playoffs where you need one win to get to the NBA Finals, and you are head and shoulders above anyone and everyone else on your team, you have to put the team on your back and carry them over.
Yep.
You have to.
Yep.
I don't care
Yep.
if they're sending triple teams at you. You find a way to get it done. And Jason, again, 30-point game on paper, it looks great. But for those of us who saw this game, he did not play like top 5 Tatum, even though he had a top 5 Tatum statistical game. He did not get it done. And again, would I be shocked if they go down to Miami and beat the snot out of the Heat? Wouldn't shock me. Because if you look at the way their season is going, that would actually be par for the course. Just when you think you have this team figured out, they hit you with a curveball. But they can't come into that Game 7 with a piss-poor performance like we saw here tonight. They just did not have any fire. You have to come, no pun intended, but you got to come with the heat in a game like this. You have to.
You know what? Like, this is obviously a habit that they have in trouble breaking. And at this point in the year, what's the saying? Old habits die hard. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Whatever. You can go down the line. If this is them, then they should just bow out of Game 7, because if they perform like this against the Warriors, they'll go down by 50, and they won't have a chance to breathe if they don't decide not to show up in the first quarter or the first half of a game.
I got a Tatum quote.
Half.
What do you got?
What's up?
So Gary Washburn asked.
Go ahead. You got Tatum quote?
Yeah, real quick. This just came. It looked like it just a couple minutes ago. Gary Washburn asked Jason Tatum what his confidence level is heading into Game 7 against Miami. Tatum asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, Gary responded yes, and Tatum said 10. So that's the thing. I mean, and I'm sure the confidence is there because look at the way they bounce back from losses. But right, I mean, like, look at the way they.
I was waiting for him to say like 5 or something.
This isn't like, oh yes, that's great, Tatum. Like, I'm not surprised that his confidence level is that high. I don't think anybody is. But is he going to show up? I mean, my guess is yes. But like, why did the Celtics have to make it this complicated of themselves? Why fly down to Miami? Why not just enjoy the weekend? You know, kick it at home, getting ready to go to the finals in a few days or whatever it is, in 2 or 3 days. And no, instead they had to gear up for a Game 7 for against a hungry Miami Heat team. I mean, I don't know, man. I just felt like this team could have been a few stops away. You know, a couple things go their way in that fourth quarter. Shit, Jaylen Brown, if he makes those 2 free throws. Look, I'm not trying to put this all on Jaylen, but it was just a recipe for a disaster for the Celtics. All that in that last 5-minute stretch of that fourth quarter.
Sherrod?
Yeah, and some people are going to go to Ime and say, you know, why don't you play?
Go ahead, Bobby.
I was going to say, a lot of people are going to look at Ime and say, why don't you slow it down? Why don't you run a play for Tatum? Why don't you get him a shot there? Because, again, I feel like the third quarter from him is fine. You know, 2 or 3 lighter on the shot total, but moving the ball around, finding White, playing a 2-man game with him that was effective. But in the fourth, 1 shot with 1 minute to go, first 11 having none, that's on him. There's nothing you can say about the Heat defense. There's nothing you can say about Ime. There's nothing you can say about anyone, really. Like, that's where you have to get the ball and make something happen. And it doesn't have to be a shot attempt, but it's just involvement on the ball as a whole. And he really didn't force the issue until the final few minutes there. No, none of it was good. Did get the 1 scoring play late, but the other turnover, running in the Tucker there, was just a huge play. You talk about the missed free throws, John. Those were big. There were a few others down the stretch there, but I really thought that turnover that gave Tucker the steal, the run out where White fouled him, which was just a horrible foul. It's just the sequence of breakdowns down the stretch there from this group. We've talked about the old Celtics popping back up, and we've seen it in Game 5 against the Bucks now. We've seen it a couple of times in this series. They've dodged a few misfortunate turns there off their turnovers, but they had a golden opportunity tonight. I still feel good, just like Josue, going down to Miami, because I think they're just a better team showing up between these two if everyone's out there. But you really made it a coin flip now.
Made it a coin flip. You missed me.
Indeed. Sherrod, checking in on you. Yep.
Yeah, listen. Here's my take on this, and I'm never. I don't give a damn where Tatum's confidence level is. I could care less where his confidence level is. I want you to show up. I want you to be top 5 team. I want you to validate why you're a first-team All-NBA player. I want you to go into that damn building and own the building. You've never owned anything before. Because to me, this is where your legacy begins. This is where the narrative as to who Jason Tatum is in the big grand picture of things matters.
Right.
Because these are the games that people are going to remember. When you think about Jason Tatum, you think about 2018 when him and Terry Rozier and all those guys choked in that Game 7 against Cleveland. You think about what happened tonight with a chance to go to the finals, and you had a very efficient game. Looks great on the resume. But for those of us who are watching this, the eye test, you failed, and you're better than this.
Right.
And that's the only thing at this point, I don't care about anything Jason Tatum says. He needs to go out there and be a badass mother.
Yes.
That's what he needs to be.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I care about. And if he didn't have that in him, yeah, I mean, if he wasn't that kind of player, then I just say, well, you know what, this has been a good season, good try, good effort. Let's just wrap it. No, he's actually shown he can be that player on a big stage. Mm-hmm. That's what I need to see. Yeah. That's the only thing I care about going into this game against Miami.
Right, like Sherrod, the trophy's here. Eastern Conference Final trophy is here, and
Larry Bird. Poor Larry Bird is just sitting there by himself.
Larry Bird.
I see him.
I got up there for the first time in 2 years for this.
Larry's on his 37th Budweiser right now.
Yeah, he's drinking Buzz.
Larry would have hit you with a double nickel in a game like this, the way that this was going.
Larry finished a case of beer by the third quarter, and he's like, "Let's go, let's get this on." No?
He was like, "Do you believe this? This is Tatum."
Pabst Blue Ribbon, baby.
If Larry Bird was in the building, Celtics may have won tonight. Bird gives them a little, extra pep, But
Jimmy, if you need that shit to get you fired up in a Game 6 with a chance to go to the finals, you got
I blame
your
this
problems.
loss on Bird. I blame this loss on Bird. Sorry, Bird. What you doing, man? Why aren't you here?
Lots of other weird stuff in this one. I mean, you go to Tatum first, but I don't know what Smart was doing the whole game, really. You mentioned the Rob sitting out the fourth quarter. That was weird. Horford, a little rushed out there.
Uncharacteristically dumb game by Al. Bad decisions, bad fouls, bad passes, and then obviously didn't score. But remember when Grant Williams was good? Those days were fun.
Giannis stopper.
It's been a little while there. This Grant, if the Celtics lose in 7, Grant heading into the offseason looking for a big payday is costing himself these last few games, right? Peyton Pritchard in bubble wrap, they've lost confidence in him in this season. So, this series.
You know what, John? I'm not sure it's that as much as it is that Derrick White is.
They don't want Jimmy Butler to hunt him on a mismatch. That's basically
Could you do worse, though? Could you do worse than what Butler did tonight?
Jimmy Butler is hunting Derrick White, who's an outstanding defender and a fairly big guard, on switches, and he's eating him up a little bit when he's getting into the paint. And so they don't want Pritchard out there for that same reason. I get why he's not playing, but you're not getting enough contributions from enough people to bail you out of a half of a bad game or a quarter here or there. You got that big Derrick White push.
And you got nothing else from your bench.
Nothing else from the bench.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, that point guard position's in flux a little bit right now. I don't know what it is about Smart, but he's just letting them fly, not getting downhill. and that was an effective approach for
Well,
him. He wasn't able to
He's
make
hurt.
playmaker
You know what it
out of
He's
it.
hurt.
He's hurt.
Yeah, he's banged up.
Yeah,
He's
so what do you
always moving
do?
out there.
So do less.
You
That's
sit
the
him
whole
for
point.
Game 7?
It takes less effort and athleticism to jack threes, so I understand it, but then that's probably why he's doing it. But really, when you're hurt, do less. Put most of your focus and energy on the things where you can really make impacts, and don't try to beat people off the dribble. Just defend, kind of play it straight, look to work the
9
ball and
threes, that's
distribute.
my problem.
He should be, if he's not great, he should be looking at the 4 to 6 shot attempts, or maybe to go backdoor on some people, or get a mismatch in the post against a smaller guard if he's out there, and look for those types of opportunities. But he shouldn't be looking for his action, looking for a shot. He's just got to do a little less.
But John, when does that happen, right? When do we see that version of Marcus Smart? Because we saw it a lot last year. We see it when guys like Tatum and Brown aren't getting it done.
Definitely.
He's not going to shy away from that moment, and that's the Marcus you're going to get, whether he's limping out there or whether he's 100%. And sometimes those shots are going to fall, like we've seen before. He's got the record of 9 3-pointers in the game. Other times he's ice cold. He made 1 in this one of 9. And that's the result that you live with when your top dogs aren't taking care of business, so to speak. Look, I thought Jalen had it teetered back and forth in my opinion, but when it came down to it, I just felt like in the second half, specifically in that fourth quarter, it had to be Tatum, and especially against a team like this, against Jimmy Butler when he's cooking like that. Like the Celtics came back so many times in this one, and they just could never just string together defensive stops. PJ Tucker was killing them. The offensive boards were killing them.
People keep saying things in the chat, but people keep saying in the chat, by the way, why isn't this guy guarding Butler? Why isn't this guy guarding Butler? They're hunting switches, guys, and that's why the primary defender isn't the one who ends up on him, and Butler's going to find his guy, and the guy who he thinks he can bully and get into the paint and get one of those little turnaround shots there. Do you think if Rob's in the game, Butler cooks a little bit less than he did?
No. I don't, because here's the thing that Jimmy did that was just typical Jimmy. He knew that there were certain spots on the floor that if he gets to those spots, he can just raise up. Most of the shots that he took, he didn't get deep into the paint. He wasn't driving deep into the hole. He was getting to around the elbow, maybe a little extended.
No, that's what I
mean,
right? Exactly.
So, so Rob would not have impacted him at all if you were out there more. In fact,
I wouldn't say that, Sherrod, at all. I mean, this is the same dude who blocks 3-pointers. I mean, Jimmy,
if I'm shooting from damn near the 3-point line or maybe 3 steps in, and Rob is on the floor, Rob ain't blocking that shot.
He's playing drop, and you're probably gonna get even more looks.
Rob has blocked a lot of shots.
Position to contest it. Yeah, and he had a nice play where Butler spun inside and Rob was right there in position. Rim protection from him was good tonight.
Butler. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, 2/3 of Butler's shot attempts came in the paint. If
transition.
A ton of them in there.
Are you really gonna say a guy that wasn't just named to the all defense second team isn't going to have some sort of effect on a guy going off for 45?
He had 17 shot attempts in the paint, guys.
Come on, guys.
A lot of that stuff was like free throw, kind of right around there. A lot of it was even closer. He got in there. He took one, foot on the line, 1 3-pointer, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 threes. Everything else was pretty much in the paint. I don't know. I don't know.
Put him in the game.
The 3 balls will really kill you because that's so not a part of what he normally does.
All of them. The Strus one on the ball that should have been the Celtics ball and that bad touch. Celtics are still looking around complaining. Strus gets it, hits that 3. That one was brutal. Butler hits the one with his foot on the line late in the shot clock there. Another brutal one.
Lowry had one like that too.
Yeah, Lowry had one. They had 3 or 4 prayers answered this game in addition to being generally hot and hitting their open shots as well. Strus hit a couple deep ones. I mean, regular season, it was a good shooting team. When we entered this series, that was one of our concerns. This is what Miami does. They really hurt you on the perimeter. They get a lot of these handoffs, dribble handoffs, guys. Getting into the paint, kicking out to open shooters, and you really had to stay on the shooters and defend the perimeter. It's one of the things they do. They shoot the ball well and they defend the perimeter well. But they just haven't hit them all series. So I think we forgot that it's a thing that they do. But they did. I think they're near the top of the league and made threes for the season. So
not Butler though. So that's one thing.
Butler. That's the thing is, next time if I'm the Celtics and I'm defending Butler, I'm playing 8 feet off of him and daring him to shoot as many of those as he
You have
wants.
to. What else are you gonna do? Yeah.
He's not doing it 2 games in a row.
I mean, dude,
And
I
if
don't
he
know
does,
about that. I mean,
you tip your cap.
Jimmy Butler will find a way to kill you if it's wide open threes. I wouldn't put it past him.
Or to score 6 points.
Yeah, but
he'll find
not
one
like
of those
this,
2 things.
though. Yeah, like that's the thing. I feel like he gave it. He left it all out on this floor. Not to say that he can't go out and score 25 or so, but I don't know if you see anything like this. You know, this is another 40-plus point game in this series.
You project the threes not falling as much, and it's a transition. This guy is as deadly as it gets on the breakouts. Horford fed him a couple times. Tatum had a sequence where he just couldn't get the ball to Grant on a little dump off there, and Butler's running the other way. And those aren't even all points that Butler's scoring. He's finding other guys. He's dumping off to Strus for a dunk early in the game. I mean, the amount of points he generated on the break himself is just incredible. So, this is the exact team you just can't do it against. You hold them to 58 per 100 in the half court last game. Now, all of a sudden, you give them 18 turnovers and breakouts and live ball opportunities. You lost the game right there. That's all you really have to say. We can go over Tatum's clutch performance and the shooting and this and that, but you just can't control the ball right now. And I don't answer. That's probably a reason Rob's not on the floor late, because you think Horford's better at doing it than he is. Maybe you go to Rob a little bit more for some ball control. They haven't done that all series, really, have they? Like, he has not gotten touches and opportunities to facilitate and make plays. That's what he's good at. I'm not saying he's going to save the day for ball control, but to have that be zero part of your offensive game,
it is funny how they forget about things Rob can do almost like the next trip down the court. You know, like you'll get a lob to him and then just like never throw one again the rest of the game. Or he does a good job finding people when you bring him up high towards the free throw line and work as a distributor, and they don't get the ball in his hands at all. They completely discount that as a facet of their offense. It is strange.
Yeah, it's probably too late to get him involved on that regard. Now you can find them on the lobs and dump offs, and they did in that third. Wasn't that the most encouraging stretch of the game where they just started peppering him with passes and he finished everything?
Yep.
That's what Ime is going to show over and over again going into Game 7.
Yeah, it's something he's mentioned before that is there, and that they don't take advantage of that more often.
I'm out of stuff to say. I really am. Because you don't want to.
How you feeling?
I still think they win Game 7. I'm legit just flabbergasted. It's the same. Every loss is the same post. Take Jimmy Butler's 47 points, put it in a bucket. Josue, I think they're going to remove you right now.
Literally, they're about to pick you.
They sent 2 guys over to Josue.
No, I'm just
They sent 2 guys, 2 hired goons. I still think they win, but it's the same show every time when they lose. It's the same series of things. It's so friggin' frustrating to talk about. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to talk about something else. What do you guys want to talk about? Change the subject, Sherrod.
Well, I mean, the one thing I like, really, the only thing I liked about this game was Derrick White. I just love the way that he has found his rhythm with this team. He's aggressive offensively. Jimmy Butler was here's the thing about Jimmy Butler tonight. He was giving everybody buckets. Al got some, Jalen got some, Tatum got some, Derrick got some. So they're really Grant got more than some. Yeah, so I can't freak out about just what Butler did to the entire Celtics team defensively. But I love the fact that Derrick White. I mean, they basically said, "We dare you to shoot the rock. We dare you," and he made him, and he did his part and made him pay. But they need other guys to step up. They need Marcus Smart has to be better. There's no doubt about that. Grant Williams has to give them something other than 4 or 5 fouls. They need him to actually make shots or at least make plays. And Ime's got to, again, I think Ime has to do a better job of getting Tatum in situations down the stretch where he can take over. Call sets where you're creating a mismatch because, again, Tatum's the best. He's your best player. He should be the one taking most of the shots in the fourth quarter. unless you got someone else who was clearly red hot shooting the ball, and that just wasn't the case. Derrick White was having a good game, but look, you got to get Tatum to rock down the stretch. You have to. You have to.
So all of this stuff is bothering me, and I'm like trying not to. I'm trying not to go into full rage mode, but like, you know, the other day when like Josue read the comment from, you know, Tatum saying, "Oh, we went in the second half and we wanted to care," and Brown's talking about, "I want to be better and we've got to be better." Shut up! Like, stop is saying that. Just be better. Like, don't say I'll do it next time. Do it now. Like, what are you waiting for? It's so frustrating at this point. Like, that's what's driving me bonkers. This accountability stuff, like, again, it's fine and good. Like, yeah, we just got to take care of No, take care of the ball. Don't say you have to take care of the ball. Action. Like, how many games in a row are you going to go and say the same thing?
They got away with it too many times and they didn't feel it, and now it might be too late. You hope it's not.
Stop saying it.
Wake-up call.
Stop saying it. Just do it. And you talk about, again, I know this is like Mickey Mouse JV Coach Carter stuff. I got killed by some people on Twitter for suggesting it after the Game 4 loss, which drove me insane. But like, I know we talk about like Ime setting tones. Like, you can't, when you see one of your guys is just off or not in it or doing the stuff that you said is the only thing you can't do. Like, again, if the formula for this team is take care of the ball and win, be sloppy and play dumb and lose. And it's 100%. It's 100% in both cases almost. As soon as you see it, I feel like you have to do something. Either change their role, don't let them handle the ball, take them out of the game, do something. You just can't keep allowing it to happen. Like, I don't know how I mean, it's really more on the players than the coach, but the accountability stuff's driving me bonkers at this point. We just got to be better. We just got to take better care of it. I just don't want to hear it anymore.
No, John, you're just frustrated because it's happening every other game.
I don't want to hear it, though.
It's just been the way the series has gone, you know? The other team responds the same way the Celtics have, and the only difference is at least we got a good game in this one, right? For the first time, it wasn't a blowout. Well, it seemed actually it almost was, but it didn't feel that way, at least, until the last couple of minutes where Celtics just let things get completely out of hand.
The sense is if no one's going to take accountability for it, who's going to fix it? And it's got to start at the top. Because they're all stemming from Tatum and Brown. It's bad dribbling. It's bad decision-making more often, I think. Some of the passes Tatum is attempting.
They're not there.
In Game 5 in particular, that's the one whatever the last game was that they lost, he's trying that pocket pass over and over again, and Bam's in the way. And you just see him doing it. And to Smart's credit, Smart's has a much better vision of the floor than a lot of these guys. It feels like the problem is just he can't get to the spots on the floor to create right now. You're gonna have to trust him a little more, I think, to play make and just control the ball. I know it takes the ball out of the Stars' hands some, but what else are you gonna do? Like, those guys are just siphoning turnovers right now, and your reliable guys right now are Smart and White, so you gotta lean on them for ball control. And to Pritchard's credit, like, I don't want to go to him and say he's the solution, but you take him out of the rotation, he's another guy that can handle the ball, push the pace, and just control the ball in the half court, make good decisions. They really consolidated things around Tatum and Brown ball handling wise, and it didn't end up in a good result here at the end of the series as a whole.
Facts, my dog.
Yeah. I don't know. It's, again, I feel like we're going to keep going in circles with it.
You know what's worrisome, John? We're talking about like this issue. You kind of need some wholesale changes and time to adjust to what's going on with this issue. And instead, you're just flipping it in 48 hours, doing the same thing probably and hoping it works and hoping some shots fall. Because I don't think you can really make major adjustments going into Game 7, can you?
No, you can, but they're not going to work because there's no continuity to major changes at this point. You play what you do what you do well, and hopefully you can do it well enough to win. That's really the only. There are no secrets. It's scary, but when you think about it, Tatum has shown his ability to be an incredibly lethal scorer. Jaylen Brown, if you take away the turnovers or at least minimize the turnovers, Jaylen's probably the third best player in this series, or could be. There are a lot of things that the Celtics can do to get a win in Miami. We've seen them do it before. The biggest thing for me, more than anything else, is cutting down the turnovers. Because if they don't turn the ball over, I just don't see how Miami can beat them. That, to me, is the key to Miami, because that allows Miami to get on transition, get easy buckets. And that's where, when they've had their success against Boston, that's been a big part of that. So I'm not freaking out about them going to a Game 7, but they have to play their basketball in order to win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They can't make the kind of mental mistakes that we've seen in this game over and over and over again if they're going to get out of this series.
Facts, dog. Yeah, I mean, and
they have though. That's the problem. They've done it over and over and over again at this point, and they haven't addressed it. They haven't reined it in at all. They haven't even taken accountability for it. So that's what worries you about whether or not things are going to change here. The only hope you have really is piling up stops and hitting a bunch of shots. And that's a risky proposition going into a Game 7. Because you know what the Heat are going to say? Screw it. We'll foul out. We're going to hack away, and we're going to create as many turnovers as possible. If we foul, screw it. This is how we're going to disrupt this team.
The one thing that they did in this game from the very outset was they were overly aggressive, and the officials allowed them to be overly aggressive.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a smart strategy, because until you get a feel for the game, you establish how it's going to play out.
Well,
and that's what Miami did. They made this a very physical game from the outset, and the Celtics, they could never recalibrate it to where that physicality was in their favor.
That's how the Celtics play. I mean, it's a page out of their book.
And they got the benefit of it early. And
but that's how they always play.
Yeah.
If you're physical all the time, you set a different baseline and set of expectation. They're not going to call a foul 10 times. They're going to call it 3, 4, 5 times. So I want you up, and I want you pushing the envelope of aggressiveness, because they can't blow the whistle every single time. We're just going to establish that this is going to be a physical game, and they got away with it. But again, we mentioned it early, and I'll mention it again late. The officiating, while I'm not going to pin it on a loss one way or the other, because it was really bad both ways. This is as bad as it gets. You had no idea what was a foul, what wasn't a foul. Majority of the fouls that were called were play on situations. Just play on. It wasn't even
the challenge one on Grant.
It wasn't even change of possession stuff. Some of it's just a bump on the way to somewhere. Just play on. My God. Some of this stuff was awful. And then just the inconsistency. Grant gets friggin' arm locked and thrown to the ground. Jimmy Butler gets brushed on the knee by a pant leg by Grant, and that gets upheld. It was just a weird game with the fouls.
That was a tough call.
Well, not only were they getting a lot of calls wrong, but there were a lot of no calls that just didn't make sense. Like, guys are losing the ball out of bounds, and it's clear as day who it was off, and they're getting it wrong.
Yeah, the Butler one that was the Strus 3. Yep.
Yeah,
he dropped that one right out of bounds.
Yeah, there were at least 5 or 6 of those type. Right, but the one call that's not getting called, and it's and again, maybe I need to get Bam in those screens.
It's unbelievable.
He's moving every single time. I don't understand it.
Right at the last second. Right. There's a move every time.
And it's like, I don't know. And I haven't had a chance
Well, guess
to
who
ask
else
Eamon.
is thinking about this?
Who?
The Celtics. And that's another one of their habits. They get caught up in it. You saw Smart begging for a call at one point. You see everybody surrounding them. Ime pulling guys away.
Even Rob.
Like,
you never see Rob. Rob was like, "Well, you missed it." It got in their heads for sure.
Yeah. I don't get it how Bam is allowed to consistently set that illegal screen. He's moving damn near every time. Every time. And I love Bam as a player. I think he's a really good player, and he's proven himself to be a good player. But that one aspect of his game that they never acknowledge exists. To me, it's like the defensive version of James Harden and that 4-step 3-pointer shot that he used to take that they eventually got rid of.
It's the Tice seal.
Yeah.
It'll one day it'll be gone.
But not today.
Not today. Not now when you need it gone. So again, frustrating, not the reason why, but a really messed up game from the officiating. I'm just saying I feel people's frustration. It was frustrating. It was frustrating. People were frustrated on Twitter. They're frustrated here in the chat. The officiating was friggin' abysmal. Again, refs ended up, they were looking at each other for half the fouls. They're like, I don't know, which way should we go with this? I mean, it was terrible.
But you know what? As crappy as they were, the Celtics still, if they handled their business, they should have won this game.
Facts, dog. All right, guys, Game 7 predictions. We'll start with Bobby. Is the series over in favor of which way is it going?
I'm sticking with the Celtics. I called it over. You get 2 shots. Take the second. And I still feel like for the brunt of the series.
Yeah, this wasn't a one-on-one situation. Yeah, 2 shots.
Yeah, so
okay.
You get your second shot here. You've got a good. We
break the first one like Jalen. Going back to the line.
Yeah.
And what are they, Jimmy? 6-0 off the losses.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Jimmy knows this.
Yeah, that's correct.
Jimmy stopped counting. Like
Jimmy's got his little.
He said 1, 2,
Let me check
3.
Wait, I have the stats somewhere over here. I wrote them down earlier. Yep, 6.
You introduced me to this stat. I've been using it everywhere.
That's my
stat.
It
sounds like he's counting things to figure it out.
16.
that homeschool
stat I know. No, it's No, it's what is it? Win 16 or something like that. I forget.
Okay. Somebody else.
I'm also going with the Celtics. I'm sticking with the Celtics. I said it the whole time. I'm just gonna ride. I'll go down with the ship if I have to, but I maintain that they are the better team, so I'm gonna stick with they're the more talented team. They have the more talented players at the top. I think that if Tatum and Brown can step up their game and just get just enough help from the supporting cast, they have more than what it takes to advance. So I'm going to go with them.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm going with the Celtics too. And it's just based on their track record, based on what Tatum does after losses like this, after performances like this. Now, we've seen Tatum much worse, right? Especially from a shooting standpoint. But that second half, especially on this stage, when, again, the trophy's in the building, you have a chance to go to the NBA Finals, clinch your first NBA Final appearance, and you blew it. It was a great opportunity. That's all you were talking about, leading into this one. All you were talking about was how to bounce back after a win instead of seeing the way we've seen this team bounce back after losses. He was preaching, carrying that same energy after a win, and I didn't see it. I just didn't see it.
We got to do it. We just got to be better. We got to be better this way.
Right. I didn't see it, and I wasn't.
We just got to come out with more urgency next time.
I feel tricked. I believed you, Tatum.
Nothing fixtures.
The hell happened?
Sherrod, do you believe them?
I think the same thing happens. They bounce back.
Yeah.
Look, I agree with all the points you make about the Celtics being a more talented team, but when you get to a Game 7, it ain't about talent. It's not about who can make them. It's about toughness. It's about who's going to be the tougher team. Who is willing to literally leave everything they've got on the floor. And if you're looking at these two teams in what should be an absolute knockdown, drag-out fight in Miami, knowing how Miami plays, I hope I'm wrong, but I think Miami's going to win. I hope I'm wrong.
Man.
And here and
can't blame you.
One,
Bobby,
basically,
this is why they call you flip flop. This is it right there. That's it. That's the reason.
It's a coin toss.
Yeah,
maybe 4 yeses and I know.
That's not what you said when you had the
That's
mic.
not what you said, Bobby.
Bobby,
you took a side.
I'm taking the Celtics. They're better.
And then you're right. And then you get in the middle.
Sorry to cut you off, but geez.
You took Celtics in 5, man.
Yeah.
It was over.
Hard to argue with that logic.
Sherrod just convinced you in that.
What Sherrod's saying makes a lot of sense.
And again, I hope I'm wrong, but again,
I'm flipping my pick too.
The tougher team is going to win.
I'm not flipping my pick. I'm saying I can't blame him for his pick.
Sherrod has convinced me as well. After that, I was going to go Celtics, but I'm going Heat.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope they prove us wrong that they are the tougher team. But based upon what we just saw in Game 6, based upon what we've seen when Miami has been up against the wall, they have responded. And with this being a winner moves on Game 7 in Miami, the Celtics are going to have to do something that they haven't done before. This would be the greatest challenge that this group has faced all season long. Because Miami, you can't beat them. You've got to kill this team. You can't just you have to literally put them on their backs. And the Celtics, I don't know if they got that in them. I don't know if they got that killer in them to do that.
Yes. What I'm going to say is I'm still going to go Celtics because I don't think Miami's going to be able to repeat both the three-point shooting and the Jimmy Butler sort of game. However, again, as I said, Miami wasn't that great with the ball either, and we have to acknowledge that as well. They had the same amount of turnovers as Celtics. I'm still going to stay Celtics, though I don't feel as good about it. I didn't think tonight was even going to be a close game, so this was a real surprise. What I will say is
the whole world had the Celtics.
I'll say this now, and it's not just going to be us doing it. If the Celtics blow this one, there's going to be some. What's so funny is any hint of criticism towards Tatum and Brown or anything that they do, shut up, they're 25, they're awesome, look at what they do. If they lose here, it's going to be a bloodbath, and you guys are going to be the ones with the pitchforks. Trust me, okay? Because there's going to be a lot of questions about whether or not these guys are ever going to be able to do it if they can't do it here and they choke this one away.
Cue up the Bradley Beal trade talk for sure.
We talked about it, John.
Fair or not fair, it's going to get ugly this offseason. So for their sake, I hope that they win this to at least stave that off, because it's going to be irrationally pinned in the other direction. And in some cases, and my stance is assess whether or not the roster is the roster that you want going forward, and or whether you can improve it, win or lose here. I'm not a wins or loses guy. I'm not an overreact to a moment. I think you're going to look at this team and you're going to say, I still don't like some stuff, or I really like this, but I want to fix that. But if they lose this, it's going to get really ugly fast. And so for their sake, I hope it doesn't, because it's going to, this will be a really disappointing collapse, losing these games here.
Huge.
What we've talked about is they've gotten better at suppressing their worst attributes, winning in spite of them, and just kind of circumventing them at times. But it feels like they're baked in.
But that's the problem. That's my problem. The reason I've never been able to get all the way over on these guys is how much of that is just part of who they are. It's in their DNA, that thing. And when you have to wipe it clean. You have to get it. It's much harder to change a negative reputation than to, than to hurt it. Like, people remember that. It doesn't go away. So like, you really got to see them, it completely be a thing of the past. And when it's popped up so many times in these last two series, it's really hard to not think, win or lose, that there is a portion of this that's baked in. Not showing up, not having the drive, and not having the focus to play in conference finals, conference semifinals games multiple times, twice in Milwaukee, 3 times that's insane to me. And you really do start to wonder if it's one on, one off with these guys. What year is it going to be? In years 7 and 8 with these guys, 8 and 9, where it's finally going to click? I don't know. If it's not now, I don't know that it is. And that's always the concern, whether it's a baked in issue. So they got to figure it out for game 7, and then they got to friggin' play 7 really good games against Golden State if they're able to survive it. If they, if they're gonna bring this one home.
And who's more excited tonight than the Warriors?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be the Miami Heat. That's who's more excited than the Warriors.
Facts, my dog.
Facts, dog.
So
we're
they're gonna get all the rest in the world, and whoever they play is gonna be coming in with, battle wounds all over them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otto Porter. Right. There's
somebody was scouting here today.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. I think we got 4 out of 5 of us sticking with the Celtics here. So I think that they do it. And again, part of it is there's a lot of things that bother the crap out of me with the Celtics right now and the way that they go about their business. But I still think overall we've seen it twice. Sometimes even okay is good enough to win here, as long as you play a cleanish game. So I'm still going to stick with them. We're back on Sundays without Jimmy. Jimmy's getting married. So congratulations.
I'm not getting married.
She said yes.
I will not be getting married this weekend.
Did she get a passport and everything? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're back. Hopefully not for the last time. What I was going to announce.
Jimmy
was
would announce it like that, by the way. You would just be like, "Yo, next week I'm getting married." By the way, guys.
Yeah, sorry guys, I can't make the show. I'll try.
We'd be like,
I
"What?"
think my wedding's gonna get in the way.
What I was going to announce is we're going to be doing live shows every single day during the NBA Finals, whether there's a game or not a game. Some people here don't know that yet, but we are. But we're not going to do that if they lose. Okay, we're not going to do it.
We're gonna do a blow it up off season.
We're gonna have a trade Jalen show and a trade Marcus show, and all of those. But
oh man,
I'm still hopeful. I'm hopeful. Game 7 wins. So we're gonna wrap it up. It's late. We're pissed off. We're angry. We're tired. Some people are flying back to Miami, and they had no intention of doing it.
I didn't want to.
No.
But here we are.
That's what's happening here. So I will leave you guys to it. Thank you guys for watching. We are looking forward to Game 7. We're looking forward to having you guys back with us. Thanks for hanging out.
Happy Memorial Day.
Venting. Happy Memorial Day. Enjoy the long weekend.